Great to have you here, Rosie.
Thanks for having me.
How is life?
Life is good. Life has turned upside down for me.
It's been amazing watching you evolve and grow and your businesses and all of that. I think I've known you for about nearly 10 years now. Nearly.
Yeah, well, I've lived in Perth for 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I came back to Perth 2009 and was coming back. That's when I was like doing the single yogi thing of going back and forth between India and here. And that was 2009, 2010. I thought I was getting to know you around then, but it must have been a bit later.
A lot of Perthies think I'm from here because I'm originally from Queensland. And it feels like I've lived here for 10 years. It seriously does.
Right.
But I only moved here in 2014, would you
Okay.
believe? Yeah. And then I think I came to a few of your classes and Tantra stuff that you were doing at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at that time you were doing mainly Kundalini yoga. And I do recall there being a little bit of upheaval. I think you were possibly irritating some of the community, and you were also something. I recall like you were deep in your Kundalini practice, but something was happening, some kind of turbulence or upheaval that was then birthing, I think, the naked yoga.
Yeah, that sounds like me.
Can you remember that kind of time, that transformation, that shift of your focus?
Yeah. Kundalini was it was kind of my spiritual sexual awakening, and I loved teaching it. But I remember the Kundalini Association here wouldn't put my classes on their timetable because I was teaching or starting to teach the naked yoga, which I really had nothing to do with Kundalini. It was a totally different thing. But I always seemed to ruffle some feathers in some way.
Oh, you got to. It's all part of it. Yeah. And then you were kind of just playing with the nude yoga. You were experiencing some great breakthroughs and started to bring it into the public arena gradually from there, was it?
Yeah, so I started practicing naked just in my own backyard for maybe like a couple of months. And in my experience, I just started to, I couldn't believe how critical I was of my own body when I was naked. I'd had times when, like in Japan, I went to an onsen and was naked, and, boarding school, you're naked here and there and you see other naked bodies. But to actually just sit with myself, particularly during this awakening time in my own life, and really look down at my body and pick it apart, I was like, wow, I didn't even think I had body image issues until I got naked, especially outside on my yoga mat. It really like magnified everything. Whether it was, I wish I had a flatter stomach, or I wish my boobs were bigger, or my nipples are not the right shape or size, and my hair, doesn't grow long enough, or whatever. It's like, where is this all coming from? So I stuck with it, and even though it was quite painful, I just kept doing it. And then I had this like incredible meditation one day, naked, and it just said to me loud and clear, you need to teach this in, a sacred space for women. And do it soon, because women will come. And every single workshop I've ever run has sold out.
Wow.
So I'm going to keep doing it.
Great.
Yeah.
It's needed. This body image insanity has been so thick and deep for so long. And I think it affects nearly everyone, really. It's definitely been made more public with women, which is good. So much healing is required there, but men as well, man. It runs deep, this body image thing in our society in particular. I mean, the belly thing, the chubby thing, the fat thing really is in particular unique to our culture. Like there's many cultures where the fat thing is reverenced, like it's revered, and it's looked at as beautiful and abundant, and all those curves and all that is not frowned upon at all. It's a feeling and a look of abundance, so to speak. And it's really bizarre how neurotic we are about this body image thing and the whole insecure domain in general, whether it's insecure about our body or our role or whatever. It's just so deep, that root chakra insecurity. But the body image thing, and for you to be holding that space for women to break through that and create healing in their body and their lives is so critical and
so
beautiful.
important.
So good on you for stepping into that role, you know.
Thank you. Well, if you look at statues of goddesses or women from thousands of years ago, they were curvy. They were bigger women, you know. And I think now if you don't like something about your body, it's so accessible to just go and change it. Go under the knife, get plastic surgery, get this and that, hair extension, whatever it is, you can change it. And we live in this world of like constant self-improvement and self-development, which self-development has really helped me. I got on this path from self-development with Tony Robbins and that kind of thing. But you can take it too far. And if you're constantly wanting to strive and improve, like I am a businesswoman. I love running my businesses and I feel like I'm an entrepreneur now, but I've still got to stop sometimes and go, Rosie, you're doing enough. You can stop striving now. Can you just be okay with how things are right now? Not necessarily for me and my body image anymore, because I feel like I've worked so hard on that and I feel very content in my temple. But for me in business and work and life, it's like, it's okay. Everything is as it's meant to be. And actually coming into that space of acceptance is so powerful.
Totally. That trap of perfectionism, though, it's so convincing and so seductive. It can suck us all in. And I do fall into it every now and then as well. And it feels like shit. It really does. Like, because there's no end to how we can perfect something. There's no end. I think it can be refined and cultivated into a beautiful quality, that quality of perfectionism in which you just really honor the work you're doing and you're wanting it to be beautiful, but then there comes that point where you got to just let it go. I think I've let go of that perfectionism. I just feel like I've always been really good with, if I've got an idea, I'll just create it, birth it and put it out there. I won't try, maybe to my detriment, I won't try and make it absolutely perfect, because I believe if something's meant to be out there, like put it out rather than fine tuning it to the nth degree. Like nude yoga even has just evolved. And if I had just, not birthed it when I did, because it definitely wasn't perfect, but I'm really all for start now. Start before you're ready, because really you're never actually ready. Good point.
Yeah. Because if you're going to be waiting until you're ready, you'll be waiting forever.
Yeah.
And you're never really ready.
Yeah, totally. So the nude yoga thing, I love to practice yoga nude as well. I really do. On the deck here, I'm naked most of the time, and the neighbors, they can see from over there and next door as well. Every now and then they pop out, but it is very liberating. How have you found is there, I don't know if it's so much with women and what you've experienced, the kind of the sexualizing of the body and the kind of any shadow sides that pop into the equation. Have you experienced any of that? It just runs, again, so deep in our culture, this kind of not only a discomfort of nudity, but then a trigger as well. How have you found that more slippery aspect of the nude realm, or has it been pretty smooth?
Well, inside the workshops, barely at all. Like obviously the women, it's really getting them out of their comfort zone and they're very, nervous leading up to it. It's more outside of the workshops and I guess what people talk about leading up to that. So a lot of women will tell, their work colleagues or family or friends what they're doing, and then they'll just, particularly men, will just say, oh, is that a mass orgy? Like they'll just instantly think it's something sexual. And I remember when I first started and all my work went just completely viral, like overnight. And I had one of my Facebook events just have like 20,000 attending, and most of them were men and just tagging each other in it and just taking the piss out of it, really. So at the start, but I think people are just so used to me holding them now. I definitely had a lot of haters and people thinking it's something sexual, but actually it's like the most natural, empowering, liberating, sensual. And I talk about this a lot. I say to the ladies, this isn't a sexual event, but if you feel really sexual, or sensual, that's okay. And that's actually really normal because most of the time when we're naked, we are either having sex or doing something sexual or having a shower. A lot of people don't spend much time naked outside of those two things. So if arousal does come up, that's normal. And a lot of women will say they'll go home and have the best sex of their life or the best self-pleasure session because they've let go of so much shit. They feel and look visibly lighter after the practice because they just shed old beliefs, things that are holding them back. Sometimes they even end a relationship. Like if they, whatever's really bubbling under the surface, it rises up for them to see and heal and overcome.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, our tendency to suppress takes a lot of fucking energy to suppress anything, especially those body insecurities, relational insecurities, insecurities galore. We suppress it, quote unquote, under the rug, and then you take the rug out from underneath, get naked, expose it all. What a potent opportunity.
I know. And you realize how much time you waste berating yourself or suppressing shit. And then you're like, wow, when you let go of that, it's like, wow, where can I put this new time and energy into? Because I'm not going to be hating on my body anymore. Because what happens when you sit in there with 20 other women naked, and it is candlelit, it's not like fluorescent lights or anything like that, you start to see all the different shapes and sizes and colours and ages, and you think, wow, she's really beautiful and those breasts are beautiful and her belly looks so feminine. And then there's a few little things that I get the women to do during the practice, and they realise, they're like, wow, we are all actually the same. We all look slightly different. And they come home with this respect of their body and then this inner respect for themselves.
Amazing. This tendency to judge all of our little flaws and lines and bubbles and just all the little flaws. Ram Dass often speaks to that in the kind of, imagine if trees did that. Imagine if every tree was like, yeah, those leaves are, falling off, like get rid of that tree, or that bark is discolored, like get rid of that. Like it's crazy. It really is crazy. So like bringing honesty and loving attention to that, and then just taking that leap and lightening the load. What a relief. Like there's often an experience when people are on their deathbed, when they're just about to die, and all of that energy, like again, it takes so much energy to suppress shit. So they've got no energy left there. There's no more energy left to suppress. It often comes out there and just all the shit they've been suppressing. Imagine it, well, you cannot imagine, you're facilitating it if people can constantly shed those insecurities. So there's none of that wasted energy. Like you said, well, what do people do with all their energy when they've lightened the load, they've freed it up? I mean,
it creates space.
Get truly creative and empowered.
And I do remind the women, it's like, make sure you don't fill that space with crap or like shame, because the next day you can have this, what I call a shame hangover.
Really?
Go, whoa, what the hell did we do last night?
Really?
3.5 hours of really, and my yoga is very primal, and we're moaning and groaning and making noises and kind of crying, and a lot of stuff can come up. And so the next day some women can go, oh, wow, what did I do? And kind of have this shame come up. And so I remind them of that and go, you know what, just fill it up with love and actually go and channel that into something, whether that's writing or creating or love making or something, but just do not feel shameful, because that's what we're conditioned to do.
Interesting. Very. I hadn't even thought of that. But it does seem like the integration process is pretty important if that's the common situation, huh?
Well, it's not too common.
Okay.
It was right at the start because I wasn't aware of that happening. And so when a few women were like, well, I really felt very vulnerable the next day. And then I started prepping women and just like, that might come up. You might go home and be bursting with energy. You might go home and feel depleted and tired because you've really worked through a lot of stuff. So I warn them of that now, and I haven't had many women say that. but it's like anything in life.
It
When you
is.
create space, or you go have a Reiki session, or amazing yoga, you do create space, and you get to choose what you fill that up with after.
Yeah. And to bring awareness to that seems really important, because if you're not aware, you've created all this space and transformed in those old habitual patterns, those old insecurities, those old tensions. It can feel very naked. It can feel very unfamiliar. And yeah, that tendency to need to fill that
Yeah.
by overeating, by hopping on porn, by over shopping, whatever it may be. We're so used to, we're ingrained, we're brainwashed, many of us, to feel like there is something, a void there on a more negative connotation that we need to fill with shit.
Yeah.
With shit. So peeling away those layers, getting naked on so many levels.
So many. And I think the layer that surprises so many women, because they all focused on the naked part, oh my God, exposing my yoni and my breasts. This is terrifying. It's actually the emotional vulnerability that really gets women. They don't realize, they don't even think about that part really, the sharing or the connecting and eye gazing and all these other vulnerable exercises that I get them to do. And that's the real stuff, I feel like, below the physical nudity. That's the stuff that really helps women's relationships, the intimacy. That's what really helps them change. It's big work.
It is.
And I find that, if women are finding that void the next day, they tend to keep coming back until that doesn't happen anymore. So I get women who get quite addicted to the workshops because of the high they get and the feeling that they're changing, they're shifting, they're growing and they're shedding. So that can become, and I only teach them once a month here in Perth, but soon I will be holding a facilitated training, so teaching other women to be naked yoga teachers, and we'll be doing more of a 6-week program.
Cool.
Because you need that follow-up. It's
Totally.
so important, particularly when you're getting naked, to come and have one experience I've realized is amazing, but women also want and need more aftercare.
So that void, when we look at like more Buddhist traditions and whatnot, it's all languaging, but there's a more positive outlook of the void. Like that's meditation, like rest in the void, rest in the nothingness, like let yourself kind of empty into that in a beautiful way. And that's one of the points of like fasting. Let yourself get hungry every now and then and see what's on the other side of all the
I'm not very
hunger.
good at that.
I'm not either, but I see the benefit of it.
Yeah.
Because again, we're so used to and we're in such an affluent society where we can just fill the
Instant
void.
gratification.
Yeah. But every now and then to go on that austerity, I find it beneficial. Challenging for sure, but that's the point. Challenge that impulse in us that needs to fill the void constantly with food, with sex, with social media, and to maybe it could, in the maturing of it, maybe okay, this void thing, maybe practice resting in that and just dive into meditation, because that is the meditation space. This need to fill that void with constant thoughts, constant planning, constant doing. Rest in the void. Rest, deep, deep rest, or yoga nidra or something like that, to bring in more maybe a masculine energy. That's like the masculine. That seems like a really cool complement. So you're getting all that feminine juice flowing, which is prakriti. That's like stuff, sensuality,
Shakti.
inspiration, creativity. And then that void, getting comfortable with that as well.
The stillness. Well, there's my next idea for a theme, because every workshop is themed on something. So maybe that'll be my next one.
Could complement it really nicely.
Definitely.
Huh?
Yeah.
But onto the yoni eggs.
Yeah.
You've got a yoni egg in right now?
I do.
Yes. The carnelian?
Yeah.
Great. Is that
one in and one out?
Yeah, good. Let's talk about that, because even I'm pretty sure when we were first connecting, you had just started to make it more public and more available in a retail sense. And it's been really cool to see you create this like empire out of it, this full thriving business. Because at the time you were just starting to have that as one of your primary forms of livelihood. And now it's thriving and people are loving it. And it seems really educational as well and empowering. So for starters, how did you get onto the yoni egg?
How did it was in Bali. So when I was doing my Kundalini yoga teacher training over there, I'd always heard about the jade egg by one of I love her. She's one of my teachers is Kim Inami. But I never understood sort of what it is and where you put it. I wasn't really, really interested in it until I actually had a physical experience of it in Bali at a workshop. And when we basically all got this beautiful jade egg, and we charged it for the whole 4 hours of the practice, this yoga practice. We were rubbing it all over our body. We were putting all this beautiful energy into it. We were healing our wombs, and it was just this incredible experience. And then we put the egg inside of us, which for me at that time was just so out of my comfort zone. It was crazy. And what happened when I put the egg inside was this wave. And I remember I'm quite like a visual person. I saw this like green sparkly light just flood my womb. And I remember it feeling like it was the first time I'd connected to my yoni, that in a way that wasn't needing to give pleasure to someone else or get pleasure for myself. It was literally just to care and to connect and plug into that space. And I just kept using it after that. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I came home and I kept using it for about 30 or 40 days straight, just taking it in and out every day. And I remember my partner at the time was able to give me this G-spot squirting orgasm, which Kim Inami bangs on about and says that every woman can have this experience. And I didn't even believe I had G-spot. Like I just, I could have clitoral orgasms, but I couldn't have these deep internal orgasms. And so this egg seemed to just awaken all the nerve endings in the tissue and the cells inside my vagina so I could feel more during sex. And everything did wake up. And I just wanted to share that with women. No, I don't think there was any companies in Australia at the time who were doing it. No one really knew about it.
I hadn't heard of it.
No. So I definitely pioneered. And when I have an idea or I have a positive experience and it really resonates in my being, I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm like, all right, this is it. I'm doing this. And some people thought I was a bit crazy, but it worked for me and it's worked for thousands and thousands of women. And now my business has, I think we've got about 7 or 8 different stones of yoni eggs and lots of crystal dildos and glass dildos. And it's just expanded and evolved into a bit of a pleasure palace.
Well, that's what you call it, isn't it?
Yeah, yoni pleasure palace. And yeah, it helped me heal after having so many different sex partners in my early 20s and feeling incredibly disconnected from myself. I just wanted to have a sacred experience with myself, and I'd never had that before. It was always very, wanting to get something or give something. It was never just to care and love for that space.
Beautiful. And it's not even a new age thing, is it? It's been around for a long time.
Yeah, it's been around for 5,000 years. And it was the queen and her concubines would use this precious jade, because jade was the stone in China that was most prevalent. And they would polish it into this little stone and insert it in. And it was thought that it helped them with their fertility, keeping a really healthy reproductive system, strong and tight vagina for the king. Yeah, and they used it up into their late 90s. Like I serve a lot of women at my conventions and expos that I go to over East, and a lot of women in their 60s or 70s say, oh, I'm too far gone, or I'm having the operation in a few months. And I just think it's never too late.
What's the operation?
Oh, there's this operation. There's a few. There's the Mona Lisa touch, which is basically you get a new vagina. And there's basically lifts. So if you've had prolapse, if you've had incontinence,
Right.
and basically the uterus or the bowel or the bladder falls out, which is awful for some women, and they lift it all up, which is sometimes necessary.
Yeah.
But using an egg, and you start from a young age, that won't happen. it's preventing these pelvic floor issues down the track. And it simply acts as a weight that you wear internally, just like you go to the gym and lift a dumbbell to strengthen your bicep. Same concept for our vaginas. There's no difference really in the muscles other than it's, internal. And it works. I'm testament to that. And so are so many women. So, yeah.
Do you do your Kundalini practices with it in?
Yeah, I do anything with it.
That must be amazing. Like does it charge it up to another level?
Yeah, it does. Oh, it really does. I mean, I do my gym work. Yesterday I was at the gym doing my squats and my weights with the egg in. And I love doing that. And I video it and put it on my Instagram because I want women to know it doesn't always have to be this woo-woo, feeling the waves through it, like my first experience. It's not always like that. Sometimes you just put it in and you do the exercises and it's like a pelvic health measure, right? But other times I put it in and I do my meditation and it just takes me up or down, depends which way I'm going. So, yeah.
Awesome. And again, that root chakra, it feels like coinciding with that root chakra healing, with the insecurity healing, the letting go of layers that are down below, so deep, our roots, our old conditioning. So I can see it further supplementing, so to speak, that releasing of all those old conditionings, those old layers, which I can see it being kind of like these practices that we can bring into everyday life. If nothing else, I mean, it's doing so much, but even just like it's helpful to have like a tactile reminder to be present. I can imagine it be grounding. So like, for example, like the meditation beads, the japa beads are like a tool to bring us back into presence. I could imagine like being all obsessed with the future, obsessed with the past, and then, there's yoni egg, and like re-grounding or something like that.
That's exactly. It's like you've got a yoni stew. That's exactly what it's like.
That's great.
Because I love that it's a physical product that you can use, a physical tool, because so many women don't even touch their vagina. It's for their partner or, sometime during their menstrual cycle, I guess. But to actually put an egg inside, they have to look at it. They've got to touch it. They've got to, kind of understand it. And the most common question I get asked is, how do you get it out? Doesn't it get stuck? And I just think, without rolling my eyes, I'm like, does anyone know their anatomy? We haven't, no, not really, because we haven't been taught, even in high school. For me, I'm 31 now, but 15 years ago, I didn't get any sex ed. So I didn't know what a cervix was. And if I thought I was putting an egg up me, it would probably get lost, I would have thought. But no, we do have a cervix and the egg goes all the way inside. And to get it out, there's usually a drilled hole. You can tie through some string and pull it out. Or I don't use string anymore. You just squat down. Like your body will always release it. You'll lay the egg. You might need to bear down. I can actually isolate my muscles and push and bear down and it comes out. But I really want more women to know what's going on inside their body and getting in touch with that. And the egg is a beautiful tool for doing that.
Yeah, super important. And even simple body touch is huge for some people. I've known people that have been sexually abused and they won't even have a bath by themselves, naked. It's that confronting. It brings up too much shit. So it's really deep. It's really intense, for some people that have had really traumatic sexual abuse to even just touch the body. So I'd love to, for anyone listening that feels even close to being in that space of just like, holy shit, sticking something up my yoni, like I can't even touch my breasts, let alone my belly, or it's big, it's thick.
Well, just sleep with it first. Right. So just sleep with it under your pillow, next to your bed, put it in your bra. Yeah. If women have had sexual abuse, and 1 in 5 women in Australia have, and 1 in 3 in the US have. So it's big. If that's the case, and I had one woman, she was an escort, she came in and she said she was raped. And she bought one of my clear quartz yoni eggs. And I said, whatever you do not just put it in. Don't just shove it in like you would a tampon. Actually rest the egg at the entrance of your yoni, breathe and just wait. do not push. And so she did. And she said she waited a half an hour and she was just about to pull the pin. And then all of a sudden her yoni opened and it literally took it in. It was ready. And yeah, she felt as though she did the healing. And I had another woman, the first time she ever had sex, she was raped and she was 12. And she'd never really dealt with that pain. It was still very raw. And she started using a black obsidian egg. And the first time she put it in her body, this is a really positive experience, she had 2 orgasms. She'd never even had, those internal orgasms before, and it was a real shock to her system. But that was her way of healing. That doesn't happen to everyone. I mean, that definitely didn't happen to me. But yeah, our bodies heal in different ways.
So what would you recommend for someone that is like, fuck, I know I need to do something like that, but it's just too scary. There's just too much in the way, and they don't want to, they're not going to, but they know deep down they should. Any like tiny little steps to reconnect? Is it, do you find just body touch and like touching the breast, touching other parts of the body, then going down there? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, definitely breast massage is just like, I do it every single day. And this is obviously the breast, the heart is the positive pole, as you know, in Tantra. And so when a woman feels connected and open and touched, I guess, here, more likely she'll open down there. So maybe go to the breasts first, massage them. I sell a beautiful breast massage oil. It's called Heart Oil on my website on Yoni Pleasure Palace. And it's just this, even the aroma, really helps to open the heart. And I have a breast massage video tutorial on my online course. So breasts first, then yoni. I also have a womb healing meditation on my website, and I've had so many women just reach out saying they bawled their eyes out. They didn't even realize they had anything there, but then they realized, oh yeah, that surgery I had to burn off cancerous cells from my cervix 10 years ago. I was really holding on to that. No wonder sex is painful. And then they did the meditation and they released it through tears and through crying and, movement and breath. So that can be really good too to start with.
Small steps. And then, that self-care, that tender, loving awareness, start gentle. Well, it always is gentle, but if one is really sensitive and there's a lot of trauma there, you got to really, really be tender to that and start real gentle.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Baby steps. I just went straight in there. But I don't have sexual trauma. But then again, in saying that, I've had moments come up of unconsensual sex when I was really drunk, when I was backpacking overseas. Would just come up randomly and I'm like, oh my God. In a way, that is abuse. And trauma, there's soft trauma, there's hard trauma.
Right.
Soft trauma is kind of like that when you sort of, it's not a full body yes, but you did it anyway, that might be some soft trauma. So it is surprising to be aware. It's important to be aware it all might come up. So just, I have lots of resources for women.
Awesome. Check it out, listeners. And it's so good that it's at the forefront. There's conversation around it. I mean, a lot of people, including yourself, probably haven't had elders bringing conversation around the yoni, around sexuality. Am I right? Did you have elders or just inspirations that were a little bit older than you or whatever, bringing this type of conversation to your life?
Zero.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which I think is
zero.
super common.
I didn't have any wisdom from older women in my life. No, it was... And even when I did, say, for example, get my period, I remember I couldn't speak to my mum about it. I remember writing notes to her and she wrote notes back to me.
Wow.
That's how much shame we had because I just couldn't even open my mouth to talk about it. How crazy is that?
It's crazy. I know some women in my family that I think they can now, but I remember growing up, they couldn't say the word vagina. It's like, vagina. They had to kind of whisper it. So I think it's super common. So I really praise you for even just bringing the conversation to the forefront and breaking through that thick fucking shame and not to mention the trauma and whatnot, just to be able to talk about it, connect with it, connect with others around it. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, and it's still very prevalent. I was over in Sydney last week at an expo, and I said to this older woman, she was probably in her 60s, I said, oh, these are for your these are stones that you wear inside your vagina. And she had two men beside her, and she went bright red, and she looked so angry, and she pulled me to the side and said, do not say that word in front of those two men.
Right. What word did you say?
Vagina.
Oh, shit, really?
And I was just... that's probably the 1,000th customer I'd served that day. So I really love being at the forefront of this, because this work needs to be out there, and I wasn't going to change that woman's life around that. She was, they have had so much conditioning around that. And I just thought, wow, what a shame that women have that much shame about their vagina.
Yeah. How do you feel about the C word? That seems to be... reinvented. I'm noticing a lot of women in similar roles and fields such as yourself kind of bringing the C word back in and celebrating it. Like, it's not actually a negative word. It's just like vagina. It's just like yoni. And having fun with it and just destigmatizing that word that has been just trash talk for so long. How do you feel about that word? Because
I'm fine with it. I don't really use it.
No.
But I find it just a powerful word.
Powerful word.
In all contexts. Yeah. Like, if you're angry and you want to unleash fire on someone, not that you should, but I do remember calling my ex-boyfriend that, but I remember was saying that word, and I know it's not a negative word.
Well, I said C word because in many parts of the world, even when we go to, here, it gets thrown around. Yeah, again, if someone's angry, or if someone, even a joking way, you funny can. But, when I lived in Canada,
you don't say it there.
You do not say it. People are very polite, and you just don't bring up the C word at all. Not in a funny way, not in a lighthearted way, definitely not in a strong kind of abusive way. But here... it seems to be different. And in California, again, I've noticed a lot of women reinventing the use of that word. And it's been interesting to observe. I wanted to know where you're at.
Yeah, no, I'm totally comfortable. I don't say it a lot, but I am comfortable with it. And I remember unleashing. I had so much anger. It's probably the last time I was angry, actually. It was probably about 6 months ago. And I said the word, and it just felt so good. And then on the same token, you can say it in a very sexual way, and it kind of feels it's a really juicy, naughty word as well. And
and apparently it's actually really good for us to, I remember listening to Andrew Weil. He was talking about when we use words that are taboo-ish. If fuck is taboo for someone, that lights up particular parts of the brain that arouses, it awakens, it refreshes. So even cunt, even for some listeners, they'll be like, and it's actually good for us.
Yeah.
If it's used in that way, in a conscious way, or even in an angry way, which can be conscious too.
Yeah.
Conscious
I
anger.
consciously said it. Yeah.
It can really wake up a lot of vitality. So it's interesting. Just again, destigmatizing.
Just normalizing. That's what I'm all about. Normalizing and desexualizing things that, have been over thousands of years for, no reason. It's, just rewiring all of that.
Yeah. How's your drink, by the way?
It's delicious.
Yeah, it's not overloading you.
No.
We've got a very strong hot beverage here. It's cacao, Brahmi, lion's mane, Makuna, and something else.
It's better than
it's
coffee.
charged. I'm just going to have a sip and then we'll continue the conversation. So the pelvic floor thing and the belly thing. What I observed in what I continue to observe in the wellness scene and the kind of power vinyasa scene, and I think it's pretty common actually with strong athletic people, athletic women, the pelvic floor getting too tight and it actually becoming an issue when either trying to fall pregnant or even when giving birth. Do you come across that kind of issue of You want a strong pelvic floor, sure, but it can also become overactive, over tight.
Totally. So I met up with a pelvic floor physio a few months ago, and I asked her about what's the main reason women come in to see her. And she said 95% of her clientele were women with an overactive pelvic floor. And so I wanted to understand a bit more about this. And so I did some research. And the reason why a lot of women have an overactive pelvic floor is two reasons. One, because they're sucking in all the time. They're sucking in their tummy. And so what this does is it means they can't breathe very deep. They're shortening their diaphragm, and they're engaging their pelvic floor too much. So, and then the other reason is because we're just so uptight and tense, and all of our anxiety and stress goes there. Just like maybe it goes to someone's neck or, their shoulders or whatever. A lot of women, it goes to their vagina. And especially if you've had trauma, just add that on top. Your vagina will speak to you and close, literally. And whether that's vulvodynia or vaginismus or just an overactive pelvic floor, which is super, super common, it basically means everything tightens up, everything closes. A lot of women find that they need to pee really often because their bladder's like, just feeling the tension. And so rather than using a yoni egg, if this is you, and you can kind of know if it's you if sex is painful, or if you put a finger, or you can't put a finger in. Some women can't even use tampons. If this is you, don't use a yoni egg, because obviously that is for tightening and toning. Use a wand. And I talked to this pelvic floor physio about it, and she said, well, I recommend dilators. And they're silicone or plastic, and they kind of go up in different sizes. And she said, well, a crystal wand or a glass wand would be just as effective. So if you do have a really overactive pelvic floor, a beautiful practice to do is after a hot shower or a bath, lie in bed and, or before you do that, just warm up your crystal wand or your glass wand, or even if you have a dilator at home, warm it up under some warm water, put some beautiful coconut oil on it, and just lie back in your bed and really slowly, and all our crystal wands come tapered, so one end smaller than the other end. And so just put the really small end at the entrance of the yoni, and just, again, let it guide it in really slowly, and just imagine like it's sipping, inside. And hold it there for 15 minutes if you can get it all the way in, and take it out, and do that every night if you can for 2 to 3 months, and you'll start to notice a difference. So it's almost like a stretching, like an opening, because you're too tight, too tense. And remember to breathe. Stop sucking in your tummy. And I say this in my nude yoga all the time. And it's hard for women when you're sitting there naked and you're all sitting around. You can see each other. It's hard to just let it go. We're so conditioned to suck it in, so we look like we have got this beautiful toned belly. And I keep reminding them all the way through the workshop, relax your belly, relax your womb, because actually as a woman, we're meant to have a little layer here to protect our uterus. So it makes sense. But yeah, unfortunately with social media and conditioning, we're meant to have this washboard abs.
Yeah, I like to explore that as well. Every now and then in classes, I'll get people to lift their shirt up and just fully expose the belly and let it out. And it's brought up a lot of shit, especially once again, if we're in a Power Vinyasa studio and there is that holding in norm. It has even that. Not even naked, just lifting up the shirt, showing a bit of belly, looking at the belly, touching the belly, relaxing the belly. It can get people really worked up, really triggered. It's big. And to do that as a conscious practice, like you just spoke of with the breathing, it seems like a really powerful practice, even in preparation for a beautiful sleep. Because what's super common is like, that holding of the pelvic floor, that holding of the belly, and then we're holding the breath tight. We're probably breathing like a 1/16 of a proper breath, really. And then we're in the sympathetic nervous system, that jarred up fight or flight. And then we wonder why we wake up exhausted, you know? And to do that, which would be releasing the pelvic floor, yet invigorating it, relaxing the belly, getting the breathing flowing, enter that parasympathetic nervous system, relax into a deep sleep. I can see that being really powerful, really healing.
It's like a meditation, a crystal meditation, and it's not sexual. Just because it's your vagina, it doesn't mean you're having an orgasm. It might feel pleasurable, it might feel painful, or numb. That's the usually the three options. And it can feel just really meditative doing that, connecting and caring for that part of your body.
What about the dudes? Do you tailor to the blokes out there as well, or not quite yet?
No, I do.
Yeah.
And today I released a kit on my website, my first men's kit. It's called the His Kit. Just because I do have a lot of male followers, so they were like, "What's in it for us?" So I created a prostate massager, and a butt plug and anal lube. It's organic, plant-based anal. It's specifically for the anus. And so a man's G-spot is essentially inside his anus. It's the prostate. So stimulating that, there's some studies that have said, massaging the prostate once every 4 to 6 months is actually really good for men, and it can prevent disease and cancer down the track. So it's just like anything. If you're pressing on it and massaging it and giving it some blood flow and some love, that can only be a good thing, right? So the His Kit is all glass. You can choose to have black obsidian. I think with anal stimulation, it's better not to use a quartz stone, just because you want something that's ridiculously perfect. Sometimes with quartz stones there can be minor imperfections, so that's why I've stuck with just glass or black obsidian, which is essentially like volcanic black glass. And it's, I think men are really open to this now. A lot of men aren't, but a lot of women actually want to pleasure their man using these tools. So I think it's time for men to open their eyes and their mind to...
And their anus.
And their anus. To this kind of pleasure that can be available for them. Yeah.
What do you think it is? I mean, I've got my views on it, being a man. What do you think it is? Of course, homosexual men would be more open to it and they would be exploring it, most likely. Some may not. That's a bit of an assumption. For hetero men, what do you think it is?
I just think a lot of hetero men don't want to be seen or thought of as gay or as homosexual. And if they do like it in their ass, they think or people might think they're gay, or the girlfriend might think they're gay.
Sure.
And it's just not the case. It's just simply not the case. I've had a few boyfriends who really enjoy it, and other boyfriends that won't even let me go there. So everyone holds different beliefs around that part of their body, and to really let someone go there, or even to let yourself go there, is a pretty vulnerable experience, and you've got to really trust that other person and feel safe. So, and that's part of a man's feminine, I guess, is letting someone in that way can bring up a lot of shit. So I think a lot of men don't want to go there, and fair enough. And you don't have to either. It's just an option, and it can bring up a lot of good pleasure, sensations, but it can also bring up a lot of emotion. Yeah.
There's that whole sacred spot practice that the tantrikas do, which, powerful work.
Right. And doing that on yourself and using a tool for that, why not?
Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, the insecurity thing. I mean, the cock shame, and probably in association with the prostate exploration, the tightness around that area, and the cock shame that is, I think, just as prevalent as what a lot of the women feel in insecurity and shame over their body and their yoni. That runs deep as well.
Oh, absolutely. I had a partner who his father teased him for the size of his penis, and so he's forever held, even though his penis was lovely, I really enjoyed it, but he didn't believe it, and so he always had this shame and insecurity about the size of it. And I was like, it's perfect. You know, you got to love it. And that was his journey. But yeah, if someone's teased, particularly if men have teased other men about it, I mean, guys are a lot more, because your penis is external, it's out there, you can see it, you can really, you know, it's noticeable. There is more focus on penis size, you know, whereas a woman with their vaginas, it's all inside. So there's less kind of, you know, most women when they're younger think that all vaginas look the same. And it's not until you're kind of gone through adolescence and you come out and you're like, oh my God, why is these flaps bigger than the others and my friend's not the same? And then some shame comes up for women. But for men, it's really there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I've even known dudes that are really insecure because their dick's too big. Have you heard of that thing?
Yeah.
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 Because, I mean, for one, they find it hard to find a lover that it fits in. So there's that frustration of like, oh my God, like it hurts that it's too much. That, and they literally feel insecure because it's too big, which I thought was ridiculous because I more leaned on the other scale of being insecure on the other end, you know?
Yeah.
And it took a lot of work to come to peace with it for me. But then I was like, holy shit, you're insecure because it's too big? Like,
it is common,
and
actually.
then different shapes and same shit.
I get a lot of messages from men and women, I guess just because of the nature of my work, but they just open up about anything and everything. And I think maybe that's just the space I hold. But some men that I know, it is so big and they literally can't just go get a one-night stand. It's like they need to put it out there. This is my
like
situation. Yeah, because it's so uncomfortable for the woman. And I have a friend who has fallen in love with a man, and it is too big. And she can't find positions that everything else is perfect, but they don't fit really well. And I'm always the believer that, like, you know, it's not the size that matters, it's, you know, how you use it and that kind of thing. But at the same time, it is good to have a good fit. It's just like, you know, a really, really, really tall person might not be with a really, really short person. It just might not work for that person. There has to be a nice, snug fit. And it doesn't mean it's perfect, but just comfortable for both people is important.
Totally.
Yeah. Because I've had a bit of both. And I tend to think like the relationship I had where it just didn't fit very well, the relationship didn't work. And maybe that, for me anyway, it reflected in our sex because we didn't fit.
Yeah. Good to be honest with that, but it can be really frustrating as well. I mean, that's a true physical obstacle right there. If you really dig the person and the key's not going in the lock, I mean, that can be tricky, you know?
Yeah, well, I did a post on this the other day, and I have a lot of people say, oh, Rosie, my relationship's amazing. Everything's ticking the boxes except for the sex.
Right.
And to be honest, the sex is a really big box
I agree.
to have ticked. I mean, it's right up there with love, communication, trust. Like if the sex isn't good, or your libidos are completely mismatched, or you don't like each other's smell or taste, or, you know, neither of you can make each other orgasm, really look into that and bring that conversation up, not in the bedroom, because if talking in the bedroom, it could end in disaster. Talking outside, maybe over a coffee or something in your lounge room or at a cafe or somewhere in nature, to really talk about those issues, because it's not going to fix itself. You know, getting the help that you guys need if you want to make it work is super important, because intimacy is the glue that keeps everything together. If that's not working, why not just be friends?
Yeah. I had a partner before Joe that was brutally honest in the bedroom, and it was really challenging. It just ripped my ego to shreds, but in a good way. Like at the time, no, it just put me into hell and back.
Oh, no.
It was fierce teachings, but she taught me so much, and it's been invaluable. Like at the time, it just tested me big time. I felt like I burnt through lifetimes of lessons and but then, it taught me heaps. And after that, That's when I had a couple years pretty much of celibacy. But very organically. Very organically, we just explored so much sexuality. And so I had so many different lessons in the bedroom and beyond. After all that energy and breakthrough and initiation, so to speak, I literally didn't feel like sex for a couple years, but in a good way. Like I felt so clear and peaceful and content. And there was after we split up, there was just no partner for me for that couple of years. And that's when I was just doing regular trips to India back and forth and just going really deep within. So possibly if we're not finding that perfect other, it's that perfect opportunity to really go within deeper and deeper and deeper in that self-love, that self-care, and then just really not even priming for when you meet that perfect lover or whatever. Again, that word perfecting, but it is kind of like art, like making love, making art with yourself. And then if and when you do meet that perfect lover, you're so at ease in your body and can connect beyond the surface, and it's just win-win on all levels, I feel.
Yeah. Definitely. I think having a break, and it sounded like she satiated or like she really satisfied you at the time in many different ways, and you just needed some time out for yourself. Because I had a partner, and I sound like actually I was similar to her, and I unleashed some fury on him because I believe men, if you don't tell them what you want then and what you need, how are they meant to know? And so I really expressed to this guy, you know, because he was just sorting himself out basically. And I was like, that's not okay. I have done so many years of tantric work on myself and with partners. That ain't going to fly around here. And I really did. And after that, I just needed a break as well, because I think it just brings up so much stuff. And it's almost like you start to value your own space and your own sexual connection with yourself.
So do you value that practice of celibacy, of restraint, of austerity? Do you see the value of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really do. Mm-hmm. And in fact, at the moment, and it sounds a little ironic, I guess, but I'm not self-pleasuring, even though I own a company that is for self-pleasuring, essentially. I feel like I want to preserve that for my partner. At the moment, that's what feels really right. And that's been happening for nearly 6 months now, or 3 to 6 months. Yeah. It feels good. I don't want to, it's almost like I'm saving that feeling up, and I have so many creative projects that I'm channeling that sexual energy into. And when I want to be sexual, I'm being sexual with her rather than with myself, which has been a different, for the past 10 years, I've self-pleasured a lot. You know, that's been through my own exploration, but I'm ready now to kind of pull back a little on that and channel it into our connection and my work as well.
That's cool to hear. Yeah, because Shakti is creative energy, and you can learn to spread it through your whole body, not only have better full body orgasms, but also cultivate it and channel it through your mind and through creativity and through envisioning and the dreaming. And there's so much energy into it that, again, most of us haven't been taught or guided how to utilize that energy really consciously. I think there's often the tendency to, especially from men, from the masculine vantage point, we get a buildup of energy, sexual energy, tension, blue balls, whatever we want to call it. And there's a desire to just release. And it really does make the lovemaking very selfish, because it's pretty much just like masturbating with the other person. You just want to release it. Yet when you can learn to bring that energy up and circulate it and sublimate it and channel it, it's very energizing. And then I find when people get more skillful with that, then you can do it with all kinds of stuff. Like if I'm frustrated, same kind of energy. That's Shakti, that you can circulate and channel it into creative, into service, into whatever. But it does feel like yoni egg exercises, kundalini exercises, whatever helps us both relax the pelvic floor, the genitals, at the same time bring it up into the heart, out through our endeavors or whatever, is a really vital practice. Doesn't have to be stuck in those first like 1, 2, or 3 chakras, so to speak.
Yeah, you can bring it up and use it
Mm-hmm.
for your vocation or what you're passionate about,
Yeah.
for sure. I love it.
Mm.
Or through my meditation, my pranayama practice, I love using my yoni egg. And my yoni egg is where I'm using my sexual energy at the moment rather than using the pleasure ones. And I was also finding that when I was self-pleasuring, I was actually coming out of it feeling really depleted.
Right.
It was
Interesting.
exhausting. It was like,
I haven't heard that from women, I don't think. Like I often hear that from men. Men will often conserve that energy and not make love, not ejaculate, not masturbate for an extended period to build up that energy. But I haven't heard that experience from women, I don't think.
I think because I was having quite, well, I kind of fell into this trap of having a bit of a masculine orgasm, like a short, sharp. I can definitely have those internal full body orgasms, but I kind of, was starting to have these more shallow ones. And I was feeling tired. Like I could literally have a nap
Right.
afterwards. And I thought, I think I need to shift this around. So I was very aware of that. And I've given it a break for a while
Cool.
now. And I feel great.
Insight into the women. I love it. I'm surrounded by yoni. I'm surrounded by women, and it's so awesome getting to know the goddess furthermore. Yeah. Now, do you think so that whole thing of like building up your capacity to have huge orgasms and the squirting and all that, do you think that as well is more of a it's beautiful, of course, but maybe if it's done too much, it could be also quite a masculine thing, like that huge, like ejaculation type release, which would be draining, I'm sure.
That's exactly what was happening for me
Right.
because I was having I created this toy called the Sacred Squirter, and it's amazing. It's this glass pleasure one it really hits all the spots and it helps the G-spot engorge. And so I was using this and I was loving it and I was squirting so much and yeah, it felt so good. But at the same time, just so tired afterwards. And I thought, am I either doing it wrong or is this just a really masculine kind of getting my rocks off? And so that can definitely happen. And I just had to, and even when I'm having sex with my partner now, sometimes it is, surprisingly, I don't squirt with her. I don't feel the need. It's like I spent a couple of years really excited that I could do that now I'm having totally different full body enduring orgasms rather than those clitoral quick or even those masculine ejaculatory ones. So it's important that I think we kind of get stuck in the same routine of what orgasms we have, and it's really important to open up another window or another door and go, okay, what's behind this? What other kind of orgasms can I have? Because if you just keep having the same one, you need the same thing over and over again to
Right.
have that impact. And for some women, a lot of women, it's vibrators. And, getting rid of them and trying something else is a good idea. But yeah, definitely changing it up a little or changing it completely and not self-pleasuring, but making sure you're channeling that energy in other ways because you don't want to kind of suppress it or have stagnant sexual energy. And so I'm still using my yoni egg to really almost like recycle and reuse that energy in my body.
Yeah, I hear you. Before we bring it full circle and wrap it up, what are your thoughts on the porn situation?
In my experience, porn has had a detrimental effect in my relationships. So when my ex-partners quit watching porn, our sex life and our sexual connection thrived. We got closer. And I remember one day my partner, this is 5-6 years ago now, he picked me up from work and I could tell, and at the time I was just a waitress in a cafe, and I felt his energy. As soon as I got into the car, I felt it. And I said, you masturbated today and watched porn, didn't you? And he was like, yeah, how did you know? And I was like, I can just feel it in your energy. I can feel you're not craving me. You're not like, you weren't high vibe. And so actually after that conversation, he stopped. And then another partner of mine, he quit and hadn't watched porn for about a year last time I spoke to him. So, and our sex life really went to whole new levels once they quit. Because I think, and even a lot of women are very addicted to porn as well. It's a very external experience. When you're watching porn, you're not really here and present in your own body. You're watching, you're in that scene, I guess, and it's externalizing that experience. And so you're needing that fantasy to play out. And even when I used to masturbate, which I'm not at the moment, I actually practiced I didn't use porn anyway, but not using fantasy. So just actually feeling my body and breathing and feeling the sensations rather than, oh yeah, this
needing an image.
Sexy guy's walking in now and now he's doing this to me. I just stopped doing that completely and rewired these pleasure pathways in my body. And I started to have orgasms just from the sensation rather than the need to have stimulation visually or just in my mind. Like a play in my mind. I didn't need it anymore.
That's awesome sharing. I think that's huge as well. Yeah, I mean, evidence is showing that the porn addiction that many people have is just fucking with their circuitry big time. And many people I know have had partners or exes that literally couldn't make love to them, or they've admitted they couldn't make love to their partner unless there was porn in the vicinity. So the man couldn't get it up unless there was porn in the background or had just watched porn, then goes to the partner. But when it came to the partner, couldn't get it up.
It's so common.
And it's totally understandable. Like if you can create your own fantasy and there's that disconnect. So like there's none of that humanness of body scent and fluids and just life. And it's just a screen and you can create just a kind of dry 3D kind of, for lack of a better word, sanitized version of the situation. And then you get into that intimacy of eye to eye, body to body, raw, here we are. For many people that they can't respond because it's a trip. Like what we're getting from these phones and that feedback, it's like fucking with our serotonin, dopamine cycles, and then the intimacy with life. Many people are becoming like numb to it.
Totally.
So it's a full situation.
It's this instant gratification thing.
Yeah.
If you're not getting turned on by this porn, then you just click to the next one and then the next one. And it's like, oh, I need bigger boobs. I need this. I need that now. And, at the end, I think the most common porn in the US at the moment is called facial abuse. Where the woman's basically vomiting and her, she's crying because she's in so much pain. That's what people need to get themselves over the line, which is just crazy. So if you're listening and you do have a bit of a porn addiction, whether you're a man or woman, try, and this is a little tip, try just masturbating in front of the mirror. So turning off, putting all screens away from you and just to let yourself be turned on by yourself. Seeing the reflection in the mirror, that can be really helpful. Rather than needing something else outside of you, see if you can just turn yourself on, make love to yourself.
I can imagine for some, even that be too much. And I would say well, come on, get on with it. Like it's not actually too much, but for some, legitimately too much. So maybe even in the dark at first, or like you do with the nude yoga, candlelight and dim, maybe not full bright white light so you can see everything.
You can see I'm just like a bull at a gate. I just go naked, full bright lights.
Yeah.
See yourself,
Which I agree. Just look at it all. Just go head on.
Don't traumatize yourself by doing that. But maybe start slow, baby steps as well. I'm not about baby steps over here, am I?
No, neither am I. But I do love your work, Rosie, and it's great to connect. Is there anything you'd like to share with the listeners? Any upcoming events or share your social media and all that, which I will leave links below, but anything you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, just follow me on Instagram and you'll I get so many messages from men and women who just say, wow, just listening to your journey and all the little pockets of wisdom that I offer every day. That's free, it's what I want to offer. can really make changes in your life. And come to a workshop, even if you're scared. Sorry, guys, I don't do anything for you yet. But yeah, definitely step out of the comfort zone and come to a workshop if you can, and get naked with me.
Awesome. Much love, Rosie. Thank you
Thanks,
for coming
Stu.
over. Good
Thank
to
you.
hang.